After beating up on the Predators in Nashville, the Orange and Blue will look to do it again against the Broad Street Bullies. We get you set for the Oilers and the Flyers right here on the Oil Stream pregame show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola and YouTube Trev with you right now, getting you set for some more Oilers action. Good afternoon. Man, it's early. Yes, 5:30 start our time. And the Oil looking to put together back-to-back wins for the first time this season after a convincing 6-1 victory in Nashville on Tuesday. If you want to join the conversation, hit us up via the inbox, 780-218-9999, and always via the Nasty Chat if you're watching on our EST YouTube channel. I see people are catching on that the show has begun. We're going to get that tweet out for the others, the stragglers, if you will. And for those making their way home on their commute, we thank you for joining us as we get you set for tonight's action down in Philadelphia. As always, we have a tremendous show for you. We will catch up with Matty Kassian for Game Changers a little bit later on. Of course, 5:30 puck drop, or 5:38 to be exact. They always stagger that. They lie. They lie to you when the puck actually drops. They say 5:30, they say 5 our time, but really it's 08 because they do all the usual whatnots and hootenannies leading up to the actual first face-off of the game. So we will take you right until about 5:30 or so, and we'll let you catch the broadcast from Philadelphia. We'll also catch up right away in about 10 minutes or so with Anthony Manjon. He will give us the scoop covering the Philadelphia Flyers, of course, down in Philly. You can catch Anthony on Center Ice Philadelphia. He is their senior writer. We'll get to some lineup notes for tonight. We'll give you the down low on what's going on with the Flyers. They are coming off a 2-0 blanking of the Vancouver Canucks on Tuesday night. 26 saves for Sherwood Park's Kata Hot. And he always gets up for these games against the Edmonton Oilers, looking to have a bounce-back season. So, too, are the Flyers. They do have Sean Couturier back, which is a good thing after he missed all of last year, a significant portion of time. And they've got their leader back. So we'll touch base with Anthony Manjon. We'll talk to him about that, and he'll give us the scoop on John Tortorella's Philadelphia Flyers. I'll also throw out the question of the night. I'll sprinkle it in there as we move throughout the show. I'll put it out there right now. If you want to get in on the action, tell me your thoughts. I want to read as many texts as I can and nasty chats. So the question of the night is this: with Jack Campbell getting the start in goal tonight, yes indeed, who would you start on Saturday against the Winnipeg Jets? 780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat. With Campbell getting the nod tonight against Philly after a big 43-save performance. The NHL changed it. They went back and reviewed. They added a couple of saves because on Tuesday we were talking about a 41-save performance. Also, you know what? It was a 25-save performance on Tuesday night for Carter Hart. Now it's a 26-save. So they do that. They go in there and they change it. Sometimes we catch it as we're doing the post-game show, but it's a 43-save night for Jack Campbell. He was busy, made some great saves, and he is going to be in goal once again for the Oil. But having said that, Stuart Skinner generally plays good. Remember that game a couple of years ago where Skinner went in against the Jets and he was outstanding? I think it was a 2-1 shootout loss was the end result, but he absolutely stood on his head against Winnipeg, and that was kind of him, a coming out party of sorts where he really put together a monster game for the Oil. And that was the year that they ended up sending him down. If I recall correctly, Mike Smith was banged up a bunch, and then Mikko Koskinen had his struggles. They had to call Skinner up. They had to lean on him. He was playing well. Had a great game against San Jose before they sent him back down to Bakersfield. And then that kind of reassured people that, yeah, he was ready to take that next step, which he did last year. And really, and this is something we've been talking about the majority of the week, even after the game against Nashville, and talking about Skinner. A lot of people, you got to go to Campbell, Absolutely. I understand that 100%. But at the same time, Skinner's only had one start this season. And that game he played on Saturday against Vancouver when he came on in relief of Jack Campbell, Campbell let in 4 on 16. Skinner went in. He let in 4 on 16, plays on Tuesday, or he plays Saturday night. Sorry, I should go back. It's last Wednesday when he went in Vancouver, lets in 4 on 16. Then the Saturday game at home lets in 4 on 16 as well. And we're looking at Skinner going, geez, what's going on? I know that they go to Campbell. He has a good night against the Nashville Predators. They're going to him again tonight. Totally understandable, but you need Stuart Skinner going. So that's why I ask, with Campbell getting the nod tonight, would you start Skinner against the Jets on Saturday? And Stu Skinner needs to get his game going too. And I throw away, this is just the way I look at it personally, totally subjective. That's why I'm asking for your thoughts. I throw away what happened in that game in Vancouver last Wednesday, the season opener. They get shelled 8-1. They play terrible in front of both goalies, do not do anything to help them. And then Skinner goes and, the fourth goal he didn't like, the Lafferty goal on Saturday night. We understand that. The Oilers did have their woes defensively against the Vancouver Canucks. Even though they only gave up 16 shots, they still gave up great shots. And Gager talked about it on the postgame show the other night. They still gave up great A opportunities or ones that you can't fault Skinner for all of them, but he owns the Lafferty one. So at some point, you got to get him back in there. So that's the question of the night. With Campbell starting tonight, would you start Skinner on Saturday against the Jets? 780-218-9999 or via the Nasty Chat. I'm going to get to some responses right away here. Let's bring in YouTube. Trev, what would you do, pal?
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how Jack Campbell plays tonight. I think you go with the goalie that's hot, and if Jack Campbell comes out with another win tonight, I don't see why they'd take him out of the net for Winnipeg. So all just depends, but on the other side of the argument, I get, you want to see Stuart Skinner get some games in. But personally, I think Jack Campbell, let's get his confidence up, and we'll have this discussion after the game tonight, because who knows, right? Like, he could all of a sudden, not do so good. So let's see what he does tonight, and we'll make the decision then, Tommy.
We will absolutely discuss it post game tonight. If he has another really good 30 to 40 save performance and only lets in one, then I still think Skinner needs to play. And Gager talked about that too. Skinner needs to play. I would understand the wave of support for Campbell going again on Saturday.
Yeah.
If that were to happen tonight, hypothetically.
Yeah, it's good to get both goalies going, but I think we should the Oilers should for sure just focus on getting one goalie for now, and we'll see where that takes us.
Two goalies at a time would be nice.
That would be definitely that.
True tandem.
That would be unreal. Yes, for sure.
All right, let's go to JL in the Nasty Chat. Says, I'm more interested to see which goalie gets the outdoor game. And I talked about it on the EST Hangout. I'm like, maybe Stu Skinner, hometown kid, has maybe vague memories of the original. It's the 20-year anniversary of the Heritage Classic. Would it mean more to him? But does it matter if they're both playing well? I saw a text that I didn't read it out on the Hangout today, but it said, I'm paraphrasing this texter, said that they were okay with both guys playing half a game. And that's kind of when I initially read that, there was rationale behind it because of the special moment, and especially if both guys are dialed in. I don't think we're going to see that unless one guy's just stinking it out or gets hurt, knock on wood. You don't want any of these guys hurt. So I think it would mean more to Stuart Skinner.
Oh yeah, he definitely wants that game for sure.
But
and
either one of them wants to get it.
Yeah, like that's right. A big game. Like they're both going to be wanting to, they're competitors. They like to bring the best out of each other. But they definitely both want to be the starter for that one for sure.
Yeah. Penner's Pancake says Zach McEwen was on waivers. Saw Stauffer was always big on him. He's only $775. Do the Oilers possibly claim him? Interesting fourth line option. Yes, interesting fourth-line option. They have no money. And I don't think they're willing to move anyone out right now. And Bob likes a lot of guys. We love Bob. Bob has a lot of great ideas. How many of those actually take? Very few.
Yeah.
But we all come up with absolutely brilliant ideas.
Oh,
and
for sure.
None of ours take, right? But yes, I understand the rationale behind the McEwen thing. But are the Oilers, quote-unquote, soft? I don't think so.
No, I don't think they're soft, but I definitely don't think they're the toughest team out there either. He definitely brings a lot of physicality. You look at all the fights that he's been in, he's usually the one coming out on top. So pretty tough guy for sure.
He's a tough guy. All right, let's get into the inbox here. If you want to text us, 780-218-9999, or if you want to chat and you're watching on the EST YouTube channel, get into that nasty chat, and we'll read the best ones out. Behave in the nasty chat. Be nice to each other, please. And thank you. Big Uke says, if Soup wins in a big track meet, I should say, then absolutely Stu. On Saturday, Stu starts Saturday unless Soup has a low event shutout. Otherwise, Stu needs to play, says Big Uke. Another text comes in from Sean, says, yo, TNT. You like that nickname?
I actually, we could get behind that, I think.
Yeah, TNT. You need to learn how to eat a panino, by the way. We're going to get you your first donaire when we're in the first intermission. I'm going to pop out, get you
cannot wait for that.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be great. The reviews at the place I'm going to go pick them up from, pretty good. So
sweet.
Yeah, we might have to video you eating it.
Oh, gosh.
That's going to be
that's
anyway,
going to be out there.
Sean says, yo, TNT, glad to have you guys accompanying me in my commute. You're into fashion. What's your take on Kuzma versus the Washington Wizards ripping Nike for often changing the jerseys? He claims you lose the nostalgia. Thoughts? I'm open to. I like and understand adding uniforms. Bottom line, it is a moneymaker.
Yeah.
Some of these jerseys stink. We just saw the NHL do 2 rounds of 32 new uniforms. The Oilers, we saw the new Heritage Classic jerseys. You're going to see Winter Classic jerseys, Stadium Series jerseys. It's a moneymaker. I think as long as the teams maintain their like a good home and away set and aren't wearing the alternates or special jerseys more than 10 to 15 times a season, I'm okay with it, and I understand it. Like, I don't mind MLB, some of the uniforms, Sunday uniforms. I like that. I think the different looks and embracing them, touching back with retro jerseys, I actually like that, but to an extent. Like, don't overdo it.
For sure. Yeah, I get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
You look at the Raptors jersey, like early 2000s, like one of the best NBA jerseys of all time.
Sure.
The nostalgia with that, right? Vince Carter. It brings back a lot of memories. But at the same time, if the jerseys are coming out hot, if they're looking good, I'm all for it, right? As long as they're good, right? But if they're not, what are we doing?
Making money.
Making money.
We're making money. That's what it's all about in the world of sports. But if it's done right, Sean, I'm okay with it. I like special uniforms. I'm a jersey geek. I was talking to Ken and Jack from Pro-Am Sports the other night at the Client Mixer, and they brought in an Oilers Heritage Classic jersey. We're talking about the wool that will be used and how it creates issues with stitching and all of that. And you have to be careful how you launder it if you're going to wash it because the wool can shrink. And the Oilers are only wearing those Heritage Classic jerseys 3 times this season, from my understanding. They'll wear it in the big game. They're going to wear it against the Flames at home one night, and then I think Calgary wants them to wear them at the Saddle Dome one night, and that's it. That's it. And the funny thing, talking to Ken and Jack from Pro-Am, the biggest complaint that they get when they talk about the Heritage Classic jerseys from everyone is, I don't like the gloves and I don't like the pants because they're brown. Guess what? Fans don't need to wear those. They could just wear the uniform. And apparently they're flying off the shelves. And that's a great thing. Bellsy, Sean Bell, our good friend from Hello Hockey, and you'll be able to catch him here on the pre- and post-game show at times this season, says the new Cavaliers jersey is horse crap. And he didn't use the word crap. He used the more vulgar term. Bellsy, how do you really feel? Fins up, buddy. Fins up. Glad to hear you're listening. And get in on the conversation, 218-9999, and, of course, via the nasty chat. I love it. All right, let's get into starting lineups. I'll get to more text later on, but I like how the jersey talk gets the juices flowing. We have a long show today, too, so we have lots of time. We will also hear from Stu Ballantyne, who's president of Rogers Place and Ice District. Good dude. And Kevin Lowe, former president of the Edmonton Oilers, who is also part of the alumni, obviously, and nostalgia going back to 2003. So those two had a press conference today as the arena or rink is taking shape at center field at Commonwealth Stadium. It looks really good. The league putting out the rendering of what the field will look like, where the ice and the rink will sit on top of. I think it looks neat. I just put it out there yesterday and wanted to know what people's opinion of it was. And for the most part, they like it. So it should look pretty neat. And the weather, as of right now, it looks kind of cool for next week. I know today Josh Clausen was saying it's going to be our last day hitting the 20s of the year. Pretty good considering it's October 19th. But the long-range forecast always changes. Like, after 3 days out from whatever date it is, like we're at on the 19th, like anything past the 22nd, it always is in flux weather-wise. That's the thing I've learned. So we'll see how things go. If it's around like 10 degrees next Sunday, I think that'll be perfect.
Yeah, birds are chirping. That'll be. Yeah. I'd be totally okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, one more text here says, I would start Skinner mainly because I'm going and I like chanting stew more than soup, says Nolan. Question of the night, one more time. With Jack Campbell getting a start in goal tonight, who would you start on Saturday against the Winnipeg Jets? 780-218-9999 or via Nasty Chat. Let's get into starting lineups. This is what we're anticipating from the Oilers tonight. This is how they skated this morning at the morning skate. McDavid between Kane and Draisaitl. Nugent-Hopkins with Foegele and Hyman. McLeod between Holloway and Brown. Janmark with Ernie and Ryan on his flanks. On defense, Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse with Ceci. Kulak with Vincent Desharnais. That means if that's how they're going to roll out, Philip Broberg would be the lone man out. We will confirm when the team hits the ice for warm-up in about a half an hour to 40 minutes or so. Here's what we're anticipating from the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. Sean Couturier between Owen Tippett and Cam Atkinson. Scott Lawton centering Travis Konechny and Travis Forster. Noah Cates between Joel Farabee and Bobby Brink. Ryan Poehling centering the fourth line with Nicolas Deslauriers and Garnet Hathaway. On defense for the Flyers tonight, Cam York with Travis Sanheim. Mark Stahl with Sean Walker. And Igor Zamula with Nick Seeler. Out for the Flyers, Rasmus Ristolainen, IR undisclosed. Ryan Ellis, IR back. And then Morgan Frost, a healthy scratch. Bobby Brink was brought in for Morgan Frost, and some people are a little bit caught off guard by that. We will talk to Anthony Manjon shortly about that very scenario. Is John Tortorella playing games? Oh, he ain't playing. Let's get the starting goalies now. You heard it earlier. 31-year-old Jack Campbell getting the nod for the Oil 1-1 record. 343 GAA, 917 save percentage in 2 games so far this season. 3 games, I should say. He did play in that first one. A 3-2 record lifetime with a 260 GAA and a 920 save percentage with 1 shutout in 5 games against Philadelphia in his career. I have to correct myself again. Tonight will be his 3rd game. Thank you. You got to catch me on this stuff, Trev.
Sorry.
I'm kidding. I'm messing with you. That's my own fault. As for the Philadelphia Flyers, 25-year-old Carter Hart from Sherwood Park, 2-1 record, 235 GAA, 922 save percentage with 1 shutout in 3 games this season. He has played 3 games this season. A 3-3 record versus the Oilers, 3.02 GAA, 909 save percentage in 6 games versus his hometown team. So Carter Hart and Jack Campbell are your starters. If we see any differences in warm-up when it comes to lineups, we will pass those along your way. And I know a lot of nasties are quick to let us know as well via the inbox or the nasty chat if they notice something too. So let's get to some discussion in the nasty chat. Penner's Pancakes is anticipating a McLeod goal today. Andrew says, tight game ahead. Nugent-Hopkins gets the shootout winner. Ooh, okay. Derek wants to see some bottom 6 scoring. Totally understandable. Does Foegele count? No, because he was in the top 6 the other night. That was just my own thought that I had my own answer to. So we'll see if the Oilers could get some depth scoring. That's always a boon and a plus. Maybe that third line gets going. McLeod, Holloway, we shall see with Connor Brown on the right side there. All right, so we got you up to speed on lineups, starting goalies. The question of the night, one more time. I'll throw it out there. With Campbell getting the starting goal tonight, who would you start on Saturday against the Winnipeg Jets? 780-218-9999. Or you can just hit us up via the Nasty Chat if you're watching on the EST YouTube channel. All right, without further ado, let's get to Anthony Manjon. Center Ice Philly. I had a chance to catch up with him a little bit early on. Here he is. Joining us from Philly, Anthony Manjon, Center Ice Philadelphia. You can catch him there as the Oilers get set to take on the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. And I want to start with this. I know we got to get to this hockey game, Anthony, but I was just baffled and amazed at how busy it was around the Wells Fargo Center on Tuesday. You had Mexico-Germany at the Link. Then you had the ALCS going on at the ballpark, Phillies and Diamondbacks. And then you got the Flyers and the Canucks. I know Philly's a sports town. Everybody knows Philly's a sports town. But can you recall another time where you had all three facilities jammed up like that?
No, not really. We've had some games where Eagles and Flyers have paired up at the same, have been close to time. But usually they adjust the time frames. The Flyers were obviously good about moving things up to the home opener to 6 p.m., which allowed obviously the crowd to get down there. But it was really a case where with everything going on, you really needed to be down at the sports complex relatively early in order to have a chance at a parking spot. And I know the report was the fact that every single parking lot, whether it was the arenas, the stadiums, or the side lots, every single parking spot was filled at one point during that stretch. 125, I think the total number was 125,000 people down at the sports complex. I cannot remember in the years I've obviously covered Philly sports where we've had three, events like that all at the same time. It was remarkable, and I'm sure, trying to get out of there extremely. Again, everything happened pretty much. Again, with the Flyers winning and the Phillies winning, I think everybody was, for the most, at least the Philadelphia-based crowd, came away. Hey, we'll deal with the traffic as it comes. If it was a loss, maybe a little bit more cantankerous, but
Right.
But nonetheless, yeah. It was an interesting night for everybody.
It is such a cool place. I mean, like I said, Philly's a great sports town, but you see the ballpark as you're driving into the arena, and then you see the football stadium. And every time I see the lake, you know what I think of? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where they keep talking about how there's that underground tunnel to get to the ballpark in the stadium, and how that whole episode, they're trying to figure it out. So to me, I always chuckle about that, but it is such a good area to go check out sports. I can't imagine what the drivers were like in that parking lot, though. It must have been an absolute nut house / headache. But we're past that. 125,000 people is a small town for what, like a 5-hour window, Anthony? Like, that's got to be crazy. How are the drivers in Philly with that, by the way?
It's Philly, and it's like anything in the when you're living in the northeast corridor of the United States. Be aware, and basically, just have to watch. You're always going to get somebody who's just a little too overzealous, or someone who falls asleep at the wheel because they're completely exhausted from whatever revelry they might have been involved in. So, be aware and just make sure defensive driving is always a good bet.
I love that. Heed that warning, and that goes for everywhere, even outside of Philly. Here in Edmonton, people watching and listening, be aware out there on the roads. Okay, the road trip for the Oilers continues. It does go through Philadelphia before the team returns home to face the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday. The Oilers are going to face a Philly team that's off to a 2-1 start, Anthony, and they've gotten wins over Columbus and Vancouver. The Vancouver win was on Tuesday. What were the keys to those victories from what you saw?
Biggest thing, obviously, I think defensive support was really good in both the opener and in the Vancouver game. Although the first period of the Canucks game, the Flyers were up 2-0, but Vancouver really was carrying play. And then really, interestingly enough, Philadelphia outshot them by well over a 3-1 margin in the second period and pretty much dominated from that point. They couldn't get another goal after the Couturier penalty shot, but the Flyers really kind of carried play. And John Tortorella spoke to the fact that, when they were looking at video and everything, how pleased they were, obviously, with the effort. And I really kind of look at Philadelphia, and I've kind of said with the Flyers right now, we kind of have got a little bit of a microcosm of how I think the season potentially will go, where Philly is going to have these hard-fought, gritted out type of games to win. And then obviously you're going to have a game like that they had against Ottawa in their loss, where the talent-based difference between the Senators and the Flyers is going to be something that's going to be pronounced and may or may not be something they can overcome.
Yeah, that loss to the sandwich between the two wins for sure, and the Flyers looking to repeat the performance that they had against the Oilers tonight. A big part of this Flyers team is Sean Couturier. Really nice penalty shot goal the other night. Missed all of last season. How has he looked, and what kind of boost does he bring to this club?
Again, I don't really think you can probably put in terms of a value on Sean Couturier. If you have a full power Sean Couturier, you have a legitimate number one center who is a Selke Trophy candidate. The problem is when you've lost a couple of seasons, it takes a little bit of time for you to be able to kind of get that back. And I know there was some concern going into the Vancouver game. He was out of practice. He was listed as being a bit banged up. Mm-hmm. And then he played, obviously, against the Canucks and looked like the Sean Couturier of old. There were moments during preseason where I thought, especially during practice and everything, where Sean looked at himself. And there were other times when you could definitely tell that there was a bit of rust that has to come off. But I think if the Flyers get the Sean Couturier they certainly had against the Vancouver Canucks throughout this season, I think that certainly helps them, because last season they just, without Couturier being there, I don't want to use the phrase he papers over some of the Flyers' limitations, but what he's able to do out there on the ice from a matchup standpoint, if he's at full power and up to the level that he's been at, he's obviously a legitimate number one center and allows the Flyers to be able to move other younger players, obviously, further down into the lineup where the matchups will be, I think, more advantageous for, say, a Noah Cates, or, even though he's been out of the lineup, and he will be out of the lineup again tonight, Morgan Frost, but the other centers in the lineup,
right?
It allows John Tortorella to match up a bit better, I think.
Anthony, that Morgan Frost being taken out of the lineup, I know John Tortorella was asked about that. Bobby Brink has earned his keep and looks like he'll be back in the lineup tonight. Like, did that rattle some people or surprise or catch people off guard when they saw that switch that Tortorella made?
I think with the way you have to look at it, surprised some people because, again, there's obviously been, in terms of of Morgan Frost, he does have a certain high-end skill set as a playmaker, mm-hmm. but his first two games were admittedly not good games. And I don't think anybody is necessarily thinking in this circumstance that when it comes to Morgan Frost, John Tortorella, he kind of feels like needs at times that he has to push his buttons. I think feels like he needs with Morgan sometimes. He's not. I don't necessarily believe Morgan is one of John Tortorella's favorite players in the lineup. He obviously will talk up a Noah Cates, and Cates plays a great two-way game. But I think I hate to say this, but I feel like the times that Frost has a bit of a shorter leash with the coach, if the coach believes that he's not playing up to what the two-way standard that they're looking for. But I do feel like when the player does return to the lineup, they usually come back and they are adhering to what Tortorella is looking for. But again, I also believe it's also a case of Tortorella also saying, I had a lineup that really played extremely well. So just like in baseball, you don't mess with the lineup if it's going good. So therefore, they're going in with a very similar lineup, obviously, with the exception, obviously, of some of the rookies who are swapping in and out in terms of that, especially on the defense this evening.
Anthony Manjon joining us now from Center Ice, Philadelphia, as we get set for the Oilers and the Flyers. Speaking of John Tortorella, Anthony, how is this team reacting to Tortorella in year two of him behind the Flyers bench? Listen, I know he's had his spats with the media. I know he's been a part of the media. He did a lot of stuff up here with TSN. And I look at him and I'm like, man, you're just a typical Paisan. You look like my uncle sometimes when they get mad. But, Anthony, how have you found him behind the bench?
Again, the Flyers like to speak to a certain standard of play that they're trying to establish. We talk about culture and things of that sort. Tortorella, obviously, not a fan of that phrase, thinks it's more of a buzzword. He often talks about standard of play. Mm-hmm. I think in year two, I think one of the biggest changes, obviously, is some of the veteran players who kind of were subtracted over the summer, and it kind of changed, I think, the element of the culture of the locker room. After obviously the Flyers, traded, both Ivan Provorov and traded, of course, Kevin Hayes, and moved off of some of the guys who in the room were considered to be sort of veteran leaders, but maybe they're now wanting to have some of the younger players take kind of a bigger bite while still having a healthy, hopefully healthy Sean Couturier and a healthy Cam Atkinson, who again, Atkinson played for Tortorella for a long time. He can be more of I like to call a torch whisperer for some of the younger players, because he kind of knows from his days in Columbus what John Tortorella's requirements are. They know it. I mean, if the effort is not there, they want to play a tough, hard-nosed game and be able to compete every single night with the full knowledge of the fact that, they are not necessarily going to be a contending team this season in this division. But they're trying to build forward to year 3 and going forward from there. And if you can establish, more of what the coach is looking for, then that's something that they're certainly looking for. And I know Tortorella also spoke to the fact of after the Vancouver game, how much they're trying with looking back at video and everything after the games to emphasize a lot of the positive aspects of what they're doing in their game and emphasizing that. But, they come back, if they trust me when I tell you, if they come back with a game where the effort's not there, they're going to hear it and they're going to know it, and it's expected.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with Tortorella. Okay, talking about that game the other night, I have to bring this guy up because he is from around here. Sherwood Park's Carter Hart, or Carter Hat, as people like to jokingly say around here. He's off to a nice start. He had a 26-save shutout Tuesday against the Canucks in that game we were just talking about. Has he found his groove? Where's his game at? Do you notice anything different as this guy gets older? He's 25 years old now, Anthony. What are you seeing from Carter Hart?
Seeing a better, he had some struggles, obviously, when we are coming obviously out of the bubble and everything in the year after that. And I think, it's just a maturation for Carter Hart as well. He came into the league at a very young age for most goaltenders and played extremely well in his first couple of seasons, and then struggled. Hart is, when he's on his game, the key thing you always notice about him is that he's explosive from post to post. Is able to cover the lower part of the net, I think, extremely well. And the key part is obviously making sure to cover the upper sides of the net as well. He's always going to be, I think, have a shortcoming with regards to stick handling and puck handling. That's always an area that is always going to be, I think, a little bit of a concern. He's got to work at that. But again, the key thing with Hart is just continuing, a consistent play. And he's going to have some times this season where he's going to have to bail the team out. The defense of the Flyers, in terms of its talent level, there's more. There's veterans, but there's also younger players. You don't have, as I said, an Ivan Provorov to eat up a lot of minutes in this case. But there's going to be times when their defense, if they're going up against a really high-level team with a lot of high-level talent, that he's going to have to bail them out if they're going to stay in those games. But I think he's fully capable of doing it.
Anthony Manjon joining us now from Center Ice, Philadelphia. This is a good hockey city. Philly, obviously, a great sports town. We've waxed poetic about that, but this town knows it's hockey. So, with that being said, what is the buzz around this team from a fan's point of view? What's the expectation from the fans? Do they want a quick turnaround, or do they understand the process? How would you assess that, Anthony?
I think as with all fan bases, there are many different voices that would like to see a turnaround come quicker. And the Flyers have spoken to that, even with the new presentation of their new era, changing their uniforms. Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of different things they've done. They've gone back to the double Flyer logo at center ice, which was always something that former owner Ed Snyder obviously wanted. And that they went back to that this season. So there's some traditions that they're trying to kind of bring back, and that certainly, I think, helps with some of the older fan base. In terms of, I think what the fans wanted most, and I think it's most important, is honesty from the organization as to where the team is at. That they know they have to kind of start to build anew. And the draft was a big moment, I think, for a lot of people when they got up to the Flyers pick, and the most Flyers pick they probably could have happened in the draft was if they would have taken Ryan Leonard. And when they decided to take Matvei Michkov, I think it was symbolic, but also the fact that the Flyers are trying to sort of establish more of a high tempo game while still being able to try to still maintain some of the hallmarks of the organization from its best years.
Right.
So I think the fans are certainly patient right now with what's going on. How long we'll be patient? We get to we get to next year and the year after. You're going to want to continue to see continual growth and progress for the organization. I think for the most part, most of the fan base, that's where they're at right now with this team.
All right, more in the future, or more immediacy here when we look at the Oilers and Flyers. What kind of game are you expecting tonight?
Well, it's been an interesting thing. Obviously, the Oilers have had an interesting start to the season. But this is a game that's going to be interesting in that I expect that, the Flyers, obviously knowing full well who's coming into the arena, that they're going to need to emphasize that their defense, their coverage on their back end as much as possible in this game, because Edmonton does have such high end talent, at the top end of their lineup. And I believe the Oilers' defense is certainly, while it struggled here at the start of the season, I expect it to be better. My expectation of this game is that if the Flyers kind of allow Edmonton to run and dictate things the way that the Ottawa Senators did in the game that they played earlier, it's going to be a long evening. But that's going to be the key, is adherence and playing closer to the style that they had against Vancouver and also in their opener, if they're going to be able to defeat the Oilers this evening.
Anthony Manjon, always a pleasure. Great to catch up with you, and we'll see what happens tonight on the ice in Philly, and we'll talk to you again soon, my friend.
Thanks, Tom. Much appreciated.
There you go. There's Anthony Manjon, Center Ice Philadelphia. If you want to check out his work all over the Philadelphia Flyers, keeping tabs on them, and a big F1 guy as well. And he was alluding to that Ottawa Senators game where the Flyers lost 5-2, so the Oilers probably looking at a lot of that tape, obviously watching what happened to the Canucks in the 2-0 loss that they faced at the hands of the Flyers on Tuesday. Huge thank you to Anthony. Great to have him back on, and look forward to bringing him back when the Oilers face the Flyers January 2nd here in Edmonton. If you want to get in on the conversation, 780-218-9999 or via the Nasty Chat. Nasty Chat's a little quiet today. What's going on over there? Zedmo says Bobby Clark, number 16. Yes, classic Philadelphia Flyer. All right, I have a couple of texts to get to. Then we will do a little bit of a Heritage Classic update, and we'll get Matt Kassian on here from Damon Bunting's home. And Damon Bunting, of course, is the sponsor of Game Changers. So Damon Bunting beauty. We might see from Damon, too. We might actually get a little Damon Bunting cameo tonight, but we shall see. Naughty Possum, in regard to the question of the night, which asked, with Jack Campbell getting the starting goal tonight, who would you start on Saturday against the Winnipeg Jets? Naughty Possum says, when Campbell puts another great game tonight, I would start him on Saturday. Naughty Possum. This one says, well, it's not to us. Obviously deliberate. I don't like that, but that's okay. You guys are funny. All right. I have another one that's in the inbox that I want to save for when Cass hops on for Game Changers. I'll leave that for then. We will get to the Heritage Classic update right now. The arena or rink is being built down at Commonwealth. Great conditions right now for the crew. They've been holding availabilities, updating everything. I know it's not sold out yet. I believe ticket sales have been generally strong, and I feel like by the time we roll around to next Sunday, it will be a sellout. It'll be a great atmosphere, a lot of fun, great events and artists and stuff happening down at Ice District leading up to it. I saw Brett Kissel was at it. He will be singing the anthem. We know Nickelback will be performing. And actually, the sneaky good musical act that I would highly recommend, it'll be at Clark Stadium or Clark Park, The Beaches. They're great. They're honestly great. They're from Toronto. Really good. The song that they have right now, I think it was like #1 alternative song in Canada for a couple months. Blame Brett. Catchy little number. Have you heard it? You're nodding back.
No, I actually that's one thing. I'll be tuning in for sure. But the Beaches, that's I'm interested to see what
they've got.
What they
Sass
can do.
and Tude. They're great.
That's what you need.
Yeah, and the music's awesome too. So I think that's like my sleeper pick. Go check out the Beaches for free at Clark Park on Sunday. All right, YouTube Trev, let's get to Stu Ballantyne and Kevin Lowe discussing the upcoming Heritage Classic.
People here. Totally looking forward to next weekend. We're going to get into Heritage Classic Week. And boy, oh boy, 20 years since we've had one of these in Edmonton, and we're so excited. And to make it a Battle of Alberta, even more exciting as we take on the Calgary Flames. And you know what? We're ready. We're ready to go.
Can you just maybe give us a thought just some of the activities that you've got to lead up to that week of the game, and what else is going to be going on?
Yeah, busy time. Obviously, the NHL getting ready, getting the stadium ready for the big event on Sunday. But we've got 2 concerts. We've got our Hall of Fame, Oilers Hall of Fame game against New York Rangers on the Thursday night. We've got a big charity event in the arena on Friday night with EOCF, Party Like It's 2003. And then Saturday, of course, we got the Fan Fest going out with the WestJet NHL Fan Park next door to the arena on Friday and Saturday. Oil Kings on Saturday night. And then we've got a lot of activities leading into the game. Obviously, pregame next door here at Clark Stadium, into the arena, or into the stadium right after that for the Heritage Classic. It's going to be an amazing week. Everybody's going to be having a great time, and there'll be a lot of hockey going around the city.
The Oilers were pioneers for outdoor games with the Montreal Canadiens. What does it mean for the organization, one, and the community, two, to have this game here now that it's finally done?
Well, I think we've been talking about having an outdoor game here in Edmonton for quite some time, and to have it on the 20th anniversary is just amazing. It's a great way to recognize the hockey fans of Edmonton that drove the organization to think about this back in 2003, and what a great way to celebrate hockey on its roots of being outdoor on outdoor ice.
How's it going for ticket sales? Is it sold out yet?
My understanding is tickets are going really, really well. There's still some late releases, so hopefully we get it filled. This is Edmonton. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to come and see this. It's going to be a great spectacle.
And saying that, you expect a lot of people from Calgary to come up and as well? Are we hospitable?
Yes, we're hospitable. They're Albertans. It's a Battle of Alberta, so you got to have fans from both teams cheering it on. It's going to be a great event.
You guys obviously scheduled to kind of avoid the -30. Are there any weather concerns going the other way at this point?
Well, the game's at 5 o'clock, and so, I think our weather's changing, as we go through into next week. I don't see anything that's a major issue. Certainly going to be a little bit warmer, and yes, the October date was chosen for a reason, and I think the NHL's comfortable, and they've done a lot of these since 2003, and they know how to combat the weather. If the weather gets a little warmer, and of course cold weather, as long as it's not too cold, is good for the fans and good for beer sales.
Question for Evan, if possible.
Sure.
Yeah, you played in 2 Heritage Classics, the Megastars, and then the one in Winnipeg. What does it mean for players stepping on the ice? Like, a lot of these guys haven't got to play in a Heritage game. What does it mean to step on the ice?
Well, we were fortunate in 03, being the old guys that played ahead of the real game, and it was just it was a surreal feeling. Many of us hadn't played an NHL game for a number of years. Me, it had been 6 or 7 years, and the feeling of stepping on the ice and hearing the crowd, the sensation of what football players feel when there's 55,000 people watching the game. For our guys today, I don't think it's any different. The NHL does a great job at promoting this event. It's a fun time for the players and their families. Of course, 2 points are on the line, and it's very important. But it's special to have the opportunity, no question.
And temperature-wise, it's supposed to be a little warmer than the last one in 2003. How difficult, if the temperature does drop, how difficult is it to perform in that kind of weather?
You know what? In 03, I believe it was around -25 or 27, whatever it was, or 37. We had planned, I was telling Stu, we had planned for the historical highs and lows for that day in history was +15 and -30. Unfortunately, we weren't a little more in the middle, but in terms of, the weather-wise, the NHL has all the ice making capacity. As long as the ice is good, that was the biggest problem in 03. The ice was a little gravelly, a little flaky, so the quality of the game wasn't as good. But the NHL's had 20 plus years now of these types of games, so the integrity of the game, that it's a good game, and everybody has fun, and the home team wins. That's what they're promising us.
Kevin, when you guys did the first game, when you were part of that first game, you think it was going to be a one-off, or are you surprised the way it took off? I think this is the 37th or 38th game they're doing now.
Well, it was a magical time, no question. The temperature really played into it, I'm sure, although, and again, Edmonton, Albertans show up en masse for all the sporting events, so just for it to be a sellout and as successful as it was, I mean, we were very pleased as the organizing group of that particular game. But at the very next Board of Governors meetings, Gary Bettman made a statement at the beginning of the meeting saying it was the single most important event in his time as commissioner, which really made us proud.
Can you talk a little bit about your perspective, originally being on more of the hockey operations side, now being a little bit more in the business world? What's it been like to kind of go through this process of getting this to kind of come back here to Edmonton?
Well, for me, I'm not even playing in terms of the group that's organized. Stu Ballantyne and a plethora of people at our organization, Stu McDonald, are all responsible for this. But it's nice to, I mean, again, it's so exciting. We've got a great week with excited about the Hall of Fame game. Two great Oilers, Charlie Huddy and Doug Waite going in, and then a lot of our alumni will be coming in, guys we haven't seen in this city for a while. And then, fast forward to the game on the Sunday, it'll be just a great week of hockey, and, once again, makes us all proud to be Edmonton Oilers.
Is there a good contingent of those alumni guys that are going to be here for the game?
There certainly is. There's, it's just a matter of, it's hard to accommodate everybody, but we've got a lot of great names coming in for both events, and looking forward to it.
There you go. There's Kevin Lowe and Stu Ballantyne from the Oilers talking about the upcoming Heritage Classic. It'll be an awesome event. So well done. The league has taken over these things compared to 20 years ago when it was the Oilers putting the event on. We're looking to get Pat LaForge in here next week. Been talking to Pat. Pat, if you're watching or listening, get back to me. I did respond to you earlier in the day. Let's go to the inbox. 10-12, or not 10. Oh, boy. 780-218-9999. This from Big Uke says, I feel if the Oilers play the same way they did against Nashville, we're going to enjoy the postgame. Also, I am stoked for the Heritage Classic. First time I've ever gotten to enjoy something like this. Big Uke, you're going to like it. It'll be awesome, especially if it's full. And the one in Winnipeg was great. I did not go to the one here in 2023. I didn't like the temperature, so I went to a buddy's birthday party at Ezzy's for the older, or not older, but for those that remember Ezzy's, it was worth it. I also did attend the 2014 Heritage Classic, Ottawa and Vancouver. Randomly, my buddy's a Canucks fan. He had an extra ticket. His wife couldn't go, so I said, I'll come with you. No problem. And that was neat, but the Winnipeg one was better, and I think this one will top all of them for sure, being back in Edmonton for the first time in 20 years. Okay, you can also hit us up via the Nasty Chat as well. Bumblebee Tuna, Tom Ye. We're going to Saturday's practice. Strummy, I will see you at Saturday's practice. Andrew Hustler Patterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk will be in town as well. We do need to go down to Philadelphia and hear from the Oilers. Let's go inside the coach's room and get a sense of what Jay Woodcroft is feeling going into this game tonight against the Flyers.
Fogle, Nugent Hopkins, and Hyman. What is it about their skill set that seems to complement each other so well, beginning with Hyman and that workhorse attitude he has?
Yeah, well, you said it. He's a workhorse. He's a work-based player. I think he complements most people he plays with because he's willing to do certain blue-collar things that makes others look good. Obviously, Nugent Hopkins is versatile. He can play in the middle or on the wing, has touches on all aspects of the game, power play, penalty kill, 5-on-5. And then you add Warren Fogle to that mix. He's someone who's big, can skate, got in on the forecheck. I thought they were uncomplicated and simple, and as a result, they found some good results as a line.
When you have a guy like Zach Hyman leading by example and putting in the effort in the dirty areas, what does that do not only for your club but specifically his linemen?
Well, I think it's contagious. I think he's lot of articles have been written by the people in this media scrum here about Zach Hyman. One thing that I don't think gets talked enough about is how good of a teammate he is. And one of the hallmarks of being a good teammate is doing work for others, work that might not show up on a stat sheet or might not show up on the highlight film, but is certainly appreciated by the people you play with and the people you play for. Zach is that type of player, and I know his line mates enjoy playing with him.
Fogel's an interesting guy. I mean, and I know you're aware of this, he's got surprisingly really good analytics with the top players of the team.
Yeah.
He's also playing for a contract. This is sort of a you know what, or get off the pot year for him personally, right? And just in terms of maybe giving him that opportunity to play a little higher up in the lineup here in the short term.
Yeah, you know what we like to say is earned, not given. And I think he is. He's been someone that has had a good camp, came in great shape, top shape. He's highly motivated. He's someone that has a certain skill set. He's earned this opportunity, and what I liked about it is he earned that opportunity to play with those two guys. He made good on it, which is that's a feather in his cap. Now, that game was 48 hours ago. We're worried about tonight's game and them replicating the same things that went into them having a good game. I don't necessarily think it's going to lead to, a certain amount of goals for or whatnot. But if they continue to do good things over time, those statistical results usually take care of themselves.
Is Desharnais going to get in the lineup tonight?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
If it's Broberg who comes out, what are you looking to see more of from Philip?
We'll see. We haven't discussed what our lineup's going to be. So,
what have you seen from Philip so far?
Very good sequence here, starting when he came back September 5th. He came back early. He's in top shape. He's had a very good camp. He's a young player on the rise.
What do you think about Brett Kulak and kind of working with those two defensemen? What's his role on the team?
Brett Kulak, I mean, I think what his role has to be on our team is someone who gives us predictable minutes. Somebody uses his physical gifts, which I would highlight skating being his top gift. Someone that makes a good first pass, reliable defensively. Usually if he's in a pair with, he started the year, first game of the year he played with CC. Next game he played with, he's played with Broberg. He's someone that has good experience, looking to take a step in his personal career, looking to command more minutes. But as I said to Bob earlier, things are earned, not given.
Seems like he's been kind of a mentor for those younger. I know Desharnais not necessarily.
Well, he's someone to lean on for sure. Someone whose experience. He's played deep in the playoffs, not just 2 years in a row with the Edmonton Oilers, but the year before that he went to the Stanley Cup final with Montreal. So he's had good experiences. He's a likable teammate, someone who supports people. But for him in his own personal game, I think it comes down to his skating. When he's skating well, he's playing well.
Philip and Vincent Desharnais, Phil Broberg, seem like they're very different players. So
yep.
Do you find that pair is different when one of them is on, one is off, and Brett's kind of the constant?
Well, I don't know that Brett's played with Vincent Desharnais this year
not
yet.
This year,
not this year. In the past.
Yeah.
I think that goes part and parcel with different players having different skill sets, different things they bring to the table. Not unlike forward groupings, you're constantly looking to move chess pieces around the chessboard in search of chemistry. Pride ourselves on being fluid, using our eyes in how we evaluate. And part of that for our players at any position is you got to get used to different types of teammates.
You have two goalies. One of them played really well the other night. The
Yep.
other guy's, kind of looking for a positive, good start.
Yep.
You're trying to figure out which one to play. Why did you decide on
Campbell? I like the way he played. Earned, not given. Is that how I started with Bob? I thought he earned another start given his play. He's also had a fantastic 6-7 weeks with the group here, going back to his preseason. There were, the first game of the year was an odd one for the team as a whole, but I like the way he played.
So we're at that point now where play while you keep playing?
No, we're not going to let anybody sit on the tree and not get in there. But I like the way Jack played. Earned, not given.
Jay, to switch things up on a much lighter note, what do you think of the comment from Connor Brown shaving his beard so he can fit in with the kid line and his line mates?
Oh, is that why that happened? I just thought he looked fast out there with no facial hair. Yeah, I think, you know what, we're talking good teammates here, and on a light note, I think he relishes the fact that he's playing with a couple of younger guys. He can impart some of his wisdom and experience. And, you know, I thought he did some good things in the game in Nashville. And, you know, for somebody who's missed 11 months, he's trying to build a game. He's trying to build his game. Well, you know, things happen fast out there when you haven't been around for a while. You know, I thought we saw a good response from him against Nashville.
Can you explain why there's a kid line now and the line's actually gotten older?
Yeah, good. That's a good question. I can't. Is that a self-proclaimed nickname for that line too?
That's what he's saying.
Oh, that's what he's saying. Okay. Now I'm
Nice.
learning. Now I'm learning.
That's
Yeah,
what we're here for.
that's right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, there's Oilers head coach Jay Woodcroft in the coaches' room. You can join the conversation, 780-218-9999, or via the Nasty Chat if you're watching on YouTube. We saw Jay Woodcroft discussing his choice going with Jack Campbell. Earned, not given is the motto he's using. I like it. I understand it. And I do think we're going to see Stuart Skinner potentially on Saturday. We shall see. That was the question of the night. With Campbell starting in goal tonight, who would you start on Saturday against the Winnipeg Jets? Let us know via either the inbox or the Nasty Chat. I brought up Ezzy's talking about the original Heritage Classic, how I chose to go to a good friend's birthday party at Ezzy's instead of sit in the cold at the Heritage Classic back in 2003. And as soon as I said Ezzy's, I saw some texts come in. One says, if you remember going to Ezzy's, you never went to Ezzy's. There were some of those nights. This is true. And then Penner's Pancake says, Ol' Ezzy's. Missed that place. Yeah, it had a good run. Jen says, I went to Ezzy's in Lethbridge. Does that count? Kind of. Not the same, but kind of. There was an Esmeralda's or an Ezzy's on the border in Lloydminster as well. Another one from Andrea. I like this via the inbox. Now I feel old after that Ezzy's reference, Tommy. And I wrote back, it hit me right away when I was saying it. I felt that way too. And Andrea says she could tell. Good memories, but this Heritage Classic will create a new set of great lasting memories for older Oiler fans and then younger Oiler fans. I should just say hockey fans, even Flames fans, hockey fans in general, people that get a chance to take it in. It will be excellent. Okay, one more time to Philadelphia we shall go, and we're going to hear from Warren Foegele, picked up his first goal the other night in Nashville, playing on a line with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman.
Game, you on a line with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. What seems to work between the three of you?
I think we're a work-based line. You know, all three of us work super hard. For me, you know, I'm playing with two elite guys. You know, Nugent's coming off a 100-point season. He's so smart, can make such good passes. And then you got Hymes, who's such a worker bee, protects the puck so well. And for me, it's just trying to get them the puck and, you know, create space and work hard. And, you know, we were fortunate enough to get a couple bounces there.
You look at three of the goals that your team scored in that game, and it started with Hyman's work ethic. What's it like playing with an absolute dog in the corners like that?
Yeah, it's nice because, you know, he's working his hardest to, you know, win that puck, and he's probably the best forechecker in the league at winning 50-50, so, you know, those pucks will come loose. But, yeah, it's a huge treat to play with someone like that. You know, he's also super supportive on the bench, you know, he talks to me all the time, and, you know, he's a great teammate and a great guy.
How much different is the approach when you come to the rink with a win under your belt, maybe alleviating some of that pressure, getting that first one?
Yeah, for sure. I think just the morale in the dressing room is a lot upbeat compared to, you know, having a loss. You know, everyone's, you know, disappointed and things like that. But, you know, everyone's in good spirits. We know it's just the beginning of the year, but, you know, the last game was a building step for us, and, you know, hope to continue that.
Third year in the Edmonton Oilers uniform. How would you kind of assess the first 2 years went, and how did that kind of maybe change your approach heading into year three here with Edmonton?
Yeah, I think, you know, I've never really been traded really before in that kind of situation, so, you know, maybe it took me a little bit longer than I wanted to get comfortable and familiar, but, you know, I'm trying to build off my second half last year, and, you know, I felt like I had a good training camp, but, you know, just trying to to like win the day. That's what our new quote kind of has been in standard, and just trying to get better each day.
When you win the day, what does your game kind of reflect? What are the skill sets that's really coming out for you personally to make you feel like you won the day?
Yeah, I think it's just winning 50-50 battles, moving my feet, taking pucks to the net, back checking, just trying to do all the small details right, and usually that takes care of the rest by doing that.
Are you a goal-oriented guy? Do you create goals for yourself heading into a season in terms of numbers or whatever that may look like?
I think everyone somewhat does, but I don't know. I think I've realized my goals have to be kind of what we just talked about. Win my 50-50s, move my feet, and the rest of that other stuff will be taken care of if you just do the right things every day.
When you were young, did you used to say, I got to get to 20 or things like that? And now you figure that out, then maybe setting that goal doesn't work, or how did that go?
I don't know if it was ever like that, but the NHL is just such a hard league, right? It's a grind as well, 82 games, and I think focusing on the day-to-day is probably your better chance of success. If you're reaching for stars, way far in advance, you're probably not going to get there. So for myself, I've kind of figured out just focus on the day and try to chip off the things I need to do to be a good player.
I'm good.
Okay. Warren, we know that Jack Campbell has been open, honest, and accountable in his first year here in Edmonton, and obviously we know how opening night went. How nice was it as a teammate to see him kind of turn in the performance he did on Tuesday?
Yeah, Jack's been stellar. He's such a great teammate. He's been working super hard, and he had such a great preseason, and I thought last game was another example of his hard work paying off. He kept us in the battle, especially throughout the whole game, but even when we're up 4-1, he had like a breakaway, a couple good chances to make it 4-2, and he's been a real stabilizer back there, and we expect him to keep doing that.
Is Warren Foegele. He's got a goal and an assist in 3 games. He's also got 6 shots on net, and he's averaging just 11:26 time on ice. He did go 50% on the faceoff dot through 3 games. Also threw in 1 hit and 1 block shot. Warren Foegele looking to have another good game. Had a great performance the other night on that line with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. All right, time now to get to our game analyst, former NHLer Matt Kassian, who's at Damon Bunting's place. And, of course, Game Changers brought to you by Damon Bunting RE/MAX Elite. Damon Bunting is a consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out.
And here he is, Tommy.
Oh, I was just going to
Here he is, right here. He's going to come on and say hi. He doesn't have headphones, but
there he is.
Hey, everybody. The original slumlord realtor.
Oh, no, he is not. He's a classy individual.
No, he's not. I joke about that. And if you want a house that has classy, is this called shiplap? Is that what this is? Classy shiplap. If I do a little turn here, we got a little bit of memorabilia.
Yeah.
We got a nice 99 up there. That's a beautiful one. We got
signed
a nice
to him, right?
Signed to him.
Yep.
We got a nice little Oilers logo down here. Really good sports basement. So yeah, if you're looking for a house with a good sports basement, maybe he'll throw in some memorabilia too. Maybe. I don't know.
Matt Kassian signed jersey.
Matt Kassian signed jersey. Put Damon on and ask him about his history with the team, because he goes way back with the team with like Andrew Hustler Patterson and Steve Sandor. Ask him about that. I know he doesn't have headphones.
I'll throw it to him. I'm gonna give him the headphones so you can ask follow-up questions.
Okay, sounds good.
So he's just.
I'm gonna ask Damon Bunting. So this is his segment. I think he's allowed to come on. What's up, Damon? All right. It's Game Changers with Damon Bunting. We appreciate and really, really are proud to have you on the Oil Stream pre- and post-game show. I was going to tell people to go to your Instagram and their website, but Damon, your history with the team, because you used to work for them, and I was saying that you worked with Huss, who's now out in Winnipeg doing Winnipeg Sports Talk, as well as our friend Steve Sandor. So give us a little bit of the history.
Yeah, that was my first job out of university, actually. And so, yeah, great group of guys. And Huss is going to be in town for the Jets game on Saturday. So a few of us old sales guys, alumni at the Oilers are going to go. So Huss didn't last very long. You know, it's the liter Pepsi every morning to start his day. I don't know if that really resulted any sales or anything like that, but great group of people, great first job, and lasting relationships where we've been buddies for life.
Damon, on the real estate side, if people are looking to get into the market, maybe looking to sell their home, why go to you? I know why I would go to you, but what would you say to them?
Well, I've been licensed for 17 years, and I'm in it for the long-term gain and also just the relationship. So I just don't want to sell a house and go away. I want to be part of the journey for life. And yeah, I love what I do. I have a passion for real estate. It's important. And even going back to selling tickets at the Oilers, it wasn't as fulfilling, didn't give me purpose, where selling homes and being part of families, some of the biggest decisions in their lives, I love being a part of that.
I actually ran into Jason Moss yesterday. He stayed in town because he's on his bye week, and he said you helped him out recently, and you guys, and that's speaking to that legacy and being a part of people's lives. He was mentioning that you had helped him out throughout the years, so that is a testament to what you're saying. All right, Damon, your prediction for tonight, Oilers at Flyers, coming off that 6-1 win in Nashville.
5-2, Oilers.
Of course you would say that. Do you like Jack Campbell starting again tonight?
Yeah, he's going to 40 out of 42. He's going to stand on his head for us tonight.
There you go. Damon, great to see you. Thanks for coming on, and always a pleasure. Really appreciate you being a part of this show, a big part of it, and this station. So give it to Cass, and we'll let him ramble on for a little bit.
Will do. You didn't ask me about the Jags prediction tonight, too.
Go ahead. I wasn't going to ask. Go ahead, Damon. Go ahead.
Yeah, 24-17.
There's Damon Bunting. If you're looking to get into the market, buy or sell a home, check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram, Damon Bunting Real Estate. Awesome guy. And he had to get that Jag swipe in there.
He had to. And you know what? He is he's leading the charge right now, because I know I've talked with the guys. I don't think we talked about it on here yet. We haven't had a chance, but my wife and I are deciding on an NFL team to cheer for that's impartial to the places that we have lived and is probably somewhere warm. And Damon is absolutely spearheading the thrust for the Jags. So him and my daughter, who just thinks that the Jaguars look like leopards and leopards are her favorite animal, they're all over it.
All right, Cass, shifting focus back to the Oilers and the Philadelphia Flyers tonight as we get into game changers. Number one is will versus skill.
This is a huge one, Tommy. Will versus skill. We saw a lot of will from the Oilers the other night against Nashville, and we know that against a Philadelphia team that really isn't that skilled. If we look up and down the lineup, and I know you've ran through the lineups already, there's not a lot of scary individuals over there that are going to scare you from a talent standpoint. But what the Philadelphia Flyers do have or will have is that work ethic. You know that they're going to try to outwork you.
Yes.
You know they're going to try to out-hustle you. You know they're going to try to pressure you and play hard defense and do little things to make it challenging for you to play against them. And they do that because that's all that they have. They don't have high levels of skill. And for Edmonton, when you're going up against a team like that, it is so important that your will level matches their will level, that your effort and your output and your push is right there. Because really, Tommy, the Philadelphia Flyers should not beat the Edmonton Oilers if they are playing at an equal level of will, because the Edmonton Oilers skill level and talent is so much more significant. The only way that the Edmonton Oilers lose is if they don't play very hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you say that they didn't play very hard opening night of the season? I think yes is fair.
Yep.
They didn't play smart either. The effort level was there on Saturday in that loss to Vancouver, but the brain hadn't caught up at that point collectively. Is that fair?
Absolutely fair. Brain hadn't caught up. They did work. They worked hard that game, but they just didn't execute on what they were trying to do or what they should have been doing. But at least the effort was there. Now, my fear is you had a really good game, big win against Nashville. are they going to be a little bit complacent heading into a team? Well, like Nashville was world beaters. Nashville's probably not a playoff team, but
Right.
you're heading into a team that on paper is worse than Nashville. They just are.
Yes.
And are you going to have a little bit of complacency where you don't bring that same level of work that you had against Nashville and not the level of work that you had that second game against Vancouver, because you're just kind of like, oh, now we're good. We got our win and we're okay,
Okay, Will versus Skill was number 1. We were talking about the lineup. It looks like Vinny Desharnais will substitute in for Philip Broberg. So number 2, Cass, is Cousin Vinny.
Cousin Vinny coming in hot. Hey, hey, listen, an area of improvement still, even from last game, season as a whole, going back to last year for the Edmonton Oilers, still is the penalty kill.
Yeah.
Still is a penalty kill. And to me, and I understand there's people that just really feel that Broberg has to play. Now, I don't think he's been horrible this year in the regular season, Broberg. I don't think he's been great either. I think there's been some mental mistakes. Don't think he was very good the last 2 games or the first 2 games. Last game, he was all right, a little bit better improved, but the whole team was. I find it when you're in a win and a win now mode, as the Edmonton Oilers are, having a player like Desharnais step into the lineup that just solidifies your penalty kill, to me I want to say it makes more sense for the short term than having Broberg in there. And I know, again, there's people that don't like that. I know you're maybe not necessarily helping long-term development for Broberg by not having him playing. But to me, Vinny's the guy right now in that 6D spot that needs to slide in, should slide in, and he makes your penalty kill that much better. So if it indeed ends up being a 12-6 and Desharnais is the guy that's in and Broberg's the guy that's out, we just want to see the continued and further development of their penalty kill because their penalty kill, even after last game, if we look at it overall this season and we go trail all the way back to last year, has been an area that needs improvement.
Well, Cass, it can't get any worse right now. It is through 3 games, 32nd. It's 58.3%. Sadly, I know it's early, it has gone up in percentage since the last game. The power play, 5 for 14, 35.7%. That's good for third in the NHL. If you're wondering how the Flyers are doing special teams-wise early this season, the power play, 1 for 13, 7.7%. That's 26th in the NHL. PK for Philly, 75%, 23rd. Now, we talked about Broberg, Cousin Vinny, and that whole swap out there. And Smudge wrote this in earlier to our inbox, 780-218-9999. I said I'd float it to you. Smudge says, hey, fellas, can I get someone to talk me off this Broberg ledge I'm on? I find it absolutely bonkers how we don't play this guy with any sort of consistency. Former first-round pick, plays well in a few games, and gets put in the press box for Desharnais. I like Vinny, but he should be used as a 7th defenseman and inserted when guys are banged up or had really rough stretches, not in tandem with a guy whose ceiling should be top 4 defenseman. I feel bad for Philip that he can't get any leash at all, and wish we'd either let him run or send him out for a more veteran upgrade while he has any sort of value. That comes in from Smudge. One thing I said yesterday, even on Oil Stream with Nielsen, was I think we're seeing leash for Broberg. I was assuming he would be playing tonight and maybe Desharnais would have to sit out, but that doesn't seem to be the case, Cass. What would you say to Smudge, who's fighting with this in his mind and wondering what happens for Broberg here?
Well, again, you're in win now mode.
Yeah.
We're not in develop players for 4 years from now mode. And I understand that there's hesitation because you want to be able to give a young player some leash. But Tommy, it's not like he hasn't been bad, but can you legitimately say to me that he has been great?
No.
Like that he has excelled?
The answer to that is no. There's growing
pains. No.
Yeah.
He has not, through the preseason and into the regular season, he has not done enough, consistently enough. There haven't been enough plays. There hasn't been enough offensive generation. There have been too many times in the defensive zone he's either missed an assignment, or he's lost a battle to where they don't feel like he's not at a level where he's made his case so much that they can't take him out of the lineup. Like if he was at a point where we're absolutely, and everybody's just like, man, how can they do this? How could they pull him out? And it's just not because he hasn't done enough to earn that yet. And maybe he gets to that point. Maybe he gets to that point. It doesn't help him that the team struggled and lost the first 2 games of the season. But Tommy, he hasn't done enough to warrant that yet. And so, yeah, there's going to be leash because guess what? You got to win hockey games.
That's the bottom line. It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Number 1 was Will versus Skill. Number 2, Cousin Vinny. Number 3, Cass, the super bad line. I love this. Glenn Ma did a Photoshop of it. Pretty good. Pretty good. And I can't remember if it was Lieutenant Eric, if it was Dusty that went after this one first, or maybe it was one of the people from the Nasty Club. I don't know. Someone brought it up, and I giggled to myself quite profusely in my car. I think it's something you can run with here. I don't want to say I was skeptical heading into the Nashville game, but I was like, this could be interesting. I don't really know what we're going to see from that group. And I think after watching last game, you have 2 core components to this line. Number 1 is it's a line that has the ability to really help whatever defenseman they're playing with being defensively responsible. It's a veteran line, guys that typically play really well position-wise, that can help on sort-outs, back-checking into your own end, can help when you don't have the puck in your own end, 5-on-5, to force turnovers, play solid defense, be good positionally. Like it's a line that can really support your defenseman that way. So I really like that. Number 2 on it is that you have a extremely high level of work ethic, where it has instantly created a line by saying, not that Connor Brown doesn't work hard, but putting Fogle there, he's a different type of player. And to me, it just brings, or at least last game, it brought a little bit more of that work ethic type edge. And that's not to say again that I'm not saying Connor Brown wasn't working, not saying he wasn't trying hard. They're different players, but Warren Fogle just brings a little bit of that. And with him and Hyman, you have guys that are going to get their hands a little dirty, going to go to the hard areas of the ice. And then Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who can maybe distribute the puck a little bit, help you playing high and defensively. And it's an interesting line to me. And one I think that you could trust to put up against other teams' good lines and reasonably expect that they're going to do a good job against them. Cass, Stoff asked Woodcroft something in that scrum that we showed earlier, and it had to do with this being a contract year for Warren Fogle. And I know guys are hungry and they're desperate in contract years and they want to stay in the league. And when they're in their mid-20s, they want to sign the best ticket that they can and have that peace of mind in knowing that they're going to be in the NHL for a while. How much do you think that this factors in for a guy in Fogle's situation?
A lot. I mean, look at how many guys didn't get contracts this offseason.
Yep.
Now, you might be heading into a situation from the cap standpoint where the cap could go up, and maybe it goes up significantly. And if it does,
$4 million,
guys that are on, you can maybe earn a little bit more money. That's the thought. But really, Tom, the turnover is so high that it's like, no, you're still fighting. Like, think back to at points even last year where Warren Fogle was like, is he going to be in the lineup every night?
And he wasn't some nights.
Yep. Is he going to be playing every night? And for a guy like that, where it's like, okay, well, if you have a rookie in the same situation that's on a rookie deal, it becomes a little bit easier from an overall salary cap management standpoint to have someone like that in the lineup, unless you're forcing the issue, unless you're making yourself not replaceable for what you're able to bring for a fair dollar value. And so for a guy like Fogle in a contract year, I mean, it's a huge, like, your motivation, has to be through the roof. And it hopefully it is. And hopefully it's something he can sustain, because if we can say something about what we've seen from Warren Fogle is there have been moments where he's had some inconsistencies creep into his game, because we had seen for some time stretches really good. And then, maybe not as good for a little bit and then really good. And then maybe not as good. But if his focus level can be such that he is bringing it every night and contributing, whether it's second line, third line, or fourth line, well, then, maybe he earns them, whether it's in Edmonton or elsewhere, earns himself another contract. So huge focus for him.
Okay, Smudge has a reply, if you don't mind, Cass, it's for you. Smudge says, I'd push back on Cass a bit. What has Desharnais done to get the leash he seems to have? make the PK still wildly mediocre? His answer still doesn't change the fact that we have this valuable asset and it diminishes every day he watches games from the press box. That's Smudge. I don't know where the value. I'll start with this, Cass. I don't know where the value of Broberg's asset level is right now in terms. I don't think it's very high.
Has he increased it?
No.
That would be my question for Smudge. Has he increased his asset value by playing?
No. And
I don't think so.
I don't think there's teams out there looking at him going, man, we'd give up a lot to get that guy.
Nope. No. You think you're getting a first for him?
No. He hasn't done enough, and it's been a while. And that sucks. It's not good.
That does suck. That's not good. But that's the reality of the situation. And again, I mean, I don't have percentage numbers in front of me if we go to last year from a penalty kill standpoint, but my observation, and this would be purely unanalytical, so I'm sure people can get mad, frustrated, annoyed with my take on analytics at times.
Yes.
I don't have those numbers in front of me. But I'll put it purely on the eye test in this instance, although I do not doubt that the numbers will back it up, that he helps the penalty kill when he's on the ice. So I would have to pull the actual statistics of the percentage when he's on the ice versus the percentage off the ice, but Desharnais makes your penalty kill better. Yeah. It was an instant difference when they inserted him in there last year. Yeah. Instantly, it got better. And I think, from a trend line numbers, the percentages towards the end of the season continue to improve when he was in there versus not. And, Ekholm helps as well, of course. I mean, him coming in helped too. But between the two of them, they really, really helped stabilize that penalty kill. And, you can't have a penalty kill that's at 50%. If you have a guy that might make it better, gotta take it. Gotta have him in the lineup.
And you have to keep Desharnais engaged as well and don't want him sitting too long. I get it. And we knew there was going to be a rotation with those two this year. So the leash might still be there. Maybe Broberg starts to take and we're not having these types of conversations a month from now. It's interesting, though, Smudge. We're only a few games in, and we'll see where it goes from here on out. But tonight, it looks like it'll be Vinny Desharnais' chance to get a go. Let's dip into the nasty chat. And this one's interesting. Comes from Sean. Says, why is there so much hate for Evander Kane lately? The guy is great, but not looking great statistically, I guess. What are you seeing from Kane in the early parts of the season, Cass?
Yeah, he needs to find ways to the net a little bit more, find ways to get there and get the puck there. There have been spurts and moments where he's looked really good when he's playing aggressive, and that's when he's at his best, when he's walking that line. And maybe through 3 games hasn't quite found that stride yet. So I mean, I'm not poo-pooing on him. I don't think he's been horrible, but he is a guy that you would hope as time moves on here is able to find his game a little bit more. And for me, offensively, because he's a guy you want scoring 5-on-5, he's got to find ways to get the puck to the net or put himself in positions to get those opportunities. Like find your way around the net. And even if it takes those gritty little goals at first, the messy ones around the net to get one, to loosen up a little bit, they count. And so for me, it's like he needs to find his way around the net a little bit more. Not be afraid to pull the trigger when he has an opportunity to shoot, and he'll come around. I'm not worried about Evander Kane's game. And I know some people have been or are, but I'm not there yet, Tom. I still think, especially over a long season for a guy that generally plays with a high level of emotion, that you're not going to be at level 10 the entire time. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Evander Kane, if you're wondering, like numbers-wise, through the first 3 games of the season, an assist, team worst -4, 5 shots on goal. He's averaging 18:36 time on ice. He has laid down 10 hits. That is the most among all skaters on the Oilers. And it could turn around in Philly for him tonight. Among all Oilers players on the team right now, he has had the most success and put up the best numbers against the Philadelphia Flyers over the course of his career. Of course, he did spend time in the Eastern Conference with Buffalo as well as Atlanta, and then the one year when Winnipeg was in the Southeast Division when they re-entered the league, which is bizarre, but it happened as they had to realign the year after. So maybe the Philadelphia Flyers are the solution for Evander Kane. It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. He is at our proud sponsor, Damon Bunting's place right now. What do you guys have going on there? Is tonight the Donaire night? No, it's not.
Tonight's going to be the Donaire night.
It is the Donaire
No,
night.
that is tonight.
That
It
is.
is the
Okay,
Donaire
okay,
night.
okay.
It is the Donaire night. And I'm also, my old man, Brent Chappie Kassian will be in attendance.
Chappie.
I don't know if he's listening right now. So there may or may not be some form of birthday sustenance coming along with the Donaires
Yes.
for dessert, which would be good. And gonna eat some Donaires and watch some hockey, Tom. Little watch party. So we're good.
That's a nice Thursday. Wish Chappie a happy birthday from all of us here. Great dude, absolutely tremendous, and hopefully the Oilers can make up for what the Elks weren't able to do against Jason Moss Alouettes. And also a big happy birthday to our dear friend Joaquin Gage, the big 5-0, right, Cass?
A big one. And you know what? It's 65 for Chappie. So that's a big one too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a couple big birthdays.
Two great men born on this day, Brent Kassian and Joaquin Gage. A heartfelt happy birthday to both gentlemen. All right, this text comes in from South Sask Jason. Cass, I'm going to throw it at you. What about Niemelainen? Is he going to be bumping up or too much regression there? That one from South Sask Jason.
I don't know if you'd say regression as much as usurpation. Is that the proper word?
He's been usurped by others.
Yes. By others, where others have passed him. Because really, it's Niemelainen or it's Desharnais. That's the spot. That's the spot. And there are things I absolutely love that Niemelainen does. I love his open ice hits. I love that he looks to run guys over. I love his physicality. But at times, maybe positionally and with the foot speed, he's not quite as able to compensate with positioning where I think Desharnais, just from an experience standpoint, is better able to do that because he's not fast either, but he's rangy and he knows more where he needs to be on the ice to limit his skating liability. And Niemelainen maybe not just there yet. He could be a guy, if you see injuries, that comes up that gets an opportunity.
Yeah.
But for right now, between Desharnais and Broberg, I mean, you want to talk about people being upset about Broberg not being in the lineup with Desharnais. I mean, how much more would they be if it was Niemelainen in the lineup right now from a development standpoint?
Oh, rightly so, if that were the case. When Ben Gleason, I think, has passed Niemelainen as well when it comes to the call-up chart. I think Gleason's ahead of him. And Niemelainen had his window, Cass, and he had looked good at times, but the things that were plaguing him early in his NHL days, and you know what, Dave Tippett called it puck stuff, it doesn't seem like it's gotten a heck of a lot better.
Yeah.
From what we saw in preseason.
Yep. I would agree where there hasn't been a massive improvement. And if you're a guy that's playing in that third pairing, your puck responsibility has to be on 10. And it has to be there all the time. If you're a bubble guy, you can't make puck mistakes.
Yeah.
You just can't. You can get beat sometimes. It's going to happen. You can make some mistakes sometimes, but especially in the defensive zone, you have to have things really, really clean.
All right, let's wrap up with a couple of texts, Cass, and then we'll get your prediction for the game. Michael says, I think as Oiler fans, we haven't seen this where guys are cycled in. We have a very good lineup now. Instead of they were awful, pull them out. It's they were meh. Let's give them let's give the other guy a look. It has kind of shifted, right? The mentality, because this team is now perceived as a contending team and a good team and has established itself that way. So, it takes a little bit of time to let that click into our minds, right? I think that's a fair statement from Michael.
Years of abuse, Tom.
Years of abuse.
Years of abuse.
Putting
years
it bluntly.
Of abuse you have to overcome, yes.
This one from Pat says, Game 4, though, Tom, if they can't afford to have growing pains this early, then he won't get there. He's going to get opportunities, and this goes back to the Broberg conversation, right? That's from Pat.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to earn your opportunities. And guess what? With a team that's trying to win a cup, your opportunities are going to be more stretched thin. Not everyone's going to get every opportunity all the time. You have to force the issue with your play. You have to, Tom, because it's not, you can't wait around a year. You can't wait around 2 years. You can't be like, oh, okay, whatever.
It's more cutthroat.
Yeah, it's okay.
Seriously.
It has to be.
Yeah.
And it should be. And it should be, Tom, because it's like, well, you look at Broberg, and for as much as you don't necessarily want to move him out or trade him anywhere, it's like, well, if you have the opportunity to try to get better this year, do you look if there's an opportunity? Probably, because you're in your window to win. You were absolutely in your window to win. So, yeah, it's going to be more cutthroat.
Yeah.
You're not going to give as many people chances and tries.
Right.
You just don't. You don't have that luxury. If you're in the draft sweepstakes,
different story.
Yeah, but they're not.
No.
They're in win now mode.
No. All right, Cass, it's the Flyers and Oilers tonight. Edmonton looking for a second consecutive victory. What kind of hockey game are we going to be watching tonight?
I think we'll see Philly come out with a pretty good push. They're going to try to be aggressive in on the forecheck. Most likely, that's going to be their style now. It is going to be a little bit of try to slow you down, try to be physical and force turnovers in the offensive zone, not take too many risks. I can't see if Edmonton brings any kind of oomph to the game. I can't see Philly skating with them.
Yeah.
So I think we see, it's not going to be, I don't think, an absolute beatdown by Edmonton, but I think we see Edmonton control the game fairly handily with this one. Again, if they come out with any kind of an effort. So I know I always, on two guys, my call is always 7-1 Edmonton, but realistically, I'm going to go 5-2 Oilers.
Okay.
I think they win pretty handily here. I think it's a solid night. But you're going to see a little bit of pushback from the Flyers.
Yeah.
They're playing at home. They're going to play hard. They're going to come at you.
Both teams coming off of wins on Tuesday. The Flyers 2-0 over Vancouver. The Oilers 6-1 over Nashville. One of 12 games on the schedule tonight. Hart in goal for the Flyers. Campbell for the Oilers. Desharnais swaps in for Broberg. Other than that, lineup stays the same. Cass, I want to get one more thought because I know you're a football guy. You're talking about Chappie. He is the chaplain for the Elks and has been for a long time. Nathan Rourke. This will appease Damon Bunting because this is his segment after all. Nathan Rourke looks like he will make his NFL debut, getting his first start for the Jacksonville Jaguars. How cool is that to see the Canadian kid getting that start?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. And I've liked Lawrence so far. He's awesome too.
Yep.
I really enjoy him and have enjoyed him. But pretty cool to see a Canadian kid getting a chance. Lots of fun. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited. That'll be awesome.
I'll keep an eye on that one for sure as well. We'll update you tonight. You can check out the post-game show following the Oilers and the Flyers. Of course, Game Changers brought to you, as always, by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. A huge thank you to Damon for supporting us. And Cass, enjoy Donaire Night. It's going to be awesome. Happy birthday to Chappie Kassian and Joaquin Gage. A big thank you to everyone who tuned in and texted in. For Matty Kassian and YouTube Trev, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy the Oilers versus Flyers or the Jags game, and we'll talk to you following the game on the post-game show.